all things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my heart they fly. Oh,
Lord help the mister who comes between me and my sister. And Lord help the sister who comes between me and my man.
The two greatest figures in show business, Bing and Danny, as two ex-GIs who form the perfect partnership. Rosemary and Vera-Ellen as the sisters who have them in a spin. With Dean Jagger as the unemployed general they take under their wing.
Apparently, there's still quite a bit about show business I don't understand.
oh, it'll come to you, sir. Just takes time. We wouldn't be any good as generals.
You weren't any good as privates.
A wonderful story that will warm your hearts, just as the breathtaking scope of a new screen wonder will widen your eyes. White Christmas in VistaVision.
And you'll fall asleep, counting your blessings. The best thing happen while you're dancing. Things that you would not do at home come naturally on the floor. Handy, there's a minister handy, and it sure would be dandy if we let him make a fee. So don't you linger, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Welcome to Movie Umpers. I am Bob Sham.
I'm Angela. Do you like my hair?
I do. I said, you parted your hair one day. I said, I like your hair. And it has been parted ever since.
Listen, I used to wear my hair like this all the time, but also I saw Liz Fair last night, and she has forehead bangs that like swoop, and I was like, I can totally do that.
But it does look nice. It's kind of a fresh look for you.
Yeah, I got some compliments today.
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you.
I look the
also
same.
got a new nose ring.
But yeah, doesn't she look good? Can't tell we're like in our early 40s, can you?
I can see all my gray hair, so yes.
You look no older than 37. Hold on, let me take my hat off. Now I'm 48.
Do you remember?
I need a haircut.
There was a person I used to work with who once we were talking about ages of people in their relationships, and this girl so genuinely and seriously, and she was not joking, looked at me and was like, "How much older is Bobby than you?" And I was like, I'm like 10 months older than Bobby.
Yeah,
I'm a cradle robber.
I did like finally reach the age I looked.
Yeah,
pretty much. But also at that time smoked a lot. I mean, I've still got some health things I need to straighten up. But
your skin is good.
But it sure as fuck ain't gonna happen this month over Christmas, is it? Go ahead.
A little ASMR.
Yeah. Get that white woman juice in your body. Diet Coke, killing your mother slowly. No, there's going to be some offbeat selections for December in terms of holiday fare. But for Mondays, in which we usually discuss retro stuff, we're going to talk about the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
You can guess them, right? White Christmas is definitely on that list of older movies about Christmas that have kind of lingered throughout time.
You could call them Christmas classics.
Christmas classics. Mm-hmm. So we're hitting them hard. Last year, we watched all the classics that we're watching this month. Mm-hmm. I watched them all the way through for the first time last year. Mm-hmm. And there was some things that struck me about it, especially the one that we culminate into, which became, it's always been a well-regarded movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
But when I sat and watched it, I was really struck by its sincerity. And,
yeah.
And it maybe is a little saccharine, but like not as much as you might think.
Well, and these are movies that I grew up watching every year, all of them. Miracle on 34th Street, White Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life. Watched them so many times when I was a kid. But
now, as a kid, this kind of thing was like kryptonite for me.
Oh, really?
Well, like I just made it a point to.
Oh, sure.
Oh, it's in black and white, and it's a Christmas movie.
Watching it as an adult, It hits so different.
Yeah.
There are things I never picked up on that are so much more meaningful to me now.
The one through line in all of these movies, and like they're good at varying degrees, you know, I do think It's a Wonderful Life much more perfect in evoking what I'm trying to say here. But I really respect the line of anti-cynicism that courses through these movies, even in White Christmas. Miracle on 34th Street, like, it has that too, but it's still kind of got a consumer angle to it.
Yeah,
but it's still more like a spread the money around.
Exactly.
Kinda.
It's like if you can't find what you want here, I'm going to tell you where in town to go to get it, which is a total like.
Instead of just shutting you down from going anywhere else.
Or shoving something at you that you don't really want.
But the line of the anti-cynicism in White Christmas, which is in color, it's in Technicolor in this division. Everyone knows this one. It's a musical. This is our first musical too, isn't it?
Yeah.
With some Irving Berlin songs. White Christmas, directed by Michael Curtiz. This is our third Michael Curtiz movie. He directed the two Errol Flynn movies we watched, starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Vera-Ellen, with songs by Irving Berlin.
I was obsessed with Danny Kaye when I was a kid. If there was ever a Danny Kaye movie on, I would stop and watch it. I watched a lot of old movies when I was a kid. More so even than I did. And there was probably a period where I didn't watch any at all. And then you and I started watching them together when we started dating. But it was like everything was like Shirley Temple, Danny Kaye. Like I'm watching Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin. You know, like those were people that were constantly on the television. But White Christmas is sort of
the big one.
The big one. Yeah.
But anti-cynicism line in this movie, which I respected, was they reacquaint with a general that they were in the war with. They served, Bing Crosby and Danny served in World War II, where they did performances. Danny saves Bing Crosby's life and gets him to be like, okay, since I saved your life, we're going to be like a comedy duo act. But this movie's also like, no general has ever gotten their dick sucked harder than they do in this movie. Yeah. Like, this is the most pro-general propaganda. I think even people in the armed services would be like, there's a lot of general dick sucking in this movie.
But they make it very clear from the beginning that he was just a special man. Like,
he was a good guy.
And the guy that was coming in after him was more what you might expect to be like a hard-nosed general. Like, even he was kind of like, oh, this guy's gonna whip y'all into shape.
So they reacquaint with him by going into Vermont, where they're going with the Hayden sisters. And
comedy of errors to get them there. But
yeah, because Danny Kaye is trying to get Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney to hook up.
He wants Bing Crosby to get in a relationship so that he has some free time, because they're together always, working always.
So this hotel is run by their old general.
Yeah, it's
just
like
so
a bed
happens.
and breakfast ski lodge.
All the bed and breakfast lodges in the world, and you run into your old 2-star generals. So they decide that they want to. There's no snow. The general is not getting people coming in. So they work up all their routine and get all their people they work with to come there 3 days before Christmas.
Yeah, they have a whole show in
I guess
Vegas.
They don't have families or anything. And they all go and they all arrive and they're all setting up to do this grand show to help draw people into this place. Mm-hmm. And there's some contention when Rosemary Clooney, through the gossipy lady who runs the joint, She's
like the maid.
Gets wind that, like, she listens to half a conversation where some guy's trying to pitch advertisements and stuff like that to make money off the scenario. And they don't listen to the full conversation, and it's a problem. But it's this notion that, oh, if you're going to do this to make money,
then fuck you. Which, for sure, but the maid didn't listen to the whole conversation, and then she went and told it to someone else, and then that person never asked a question. Like, it's really dumb.
It is dumb.
Even as a kid, it was frustrating as hell to me.
I don't even think it's like a typical, like, sitcom kind of.
It is, and it's like stupid. Like, these are grown people, and Bing Crosby's like, what did I do? Because the thing is the man
they never hash it out either. They just decide to just be together.
Well, I'm sure, she never tells him why she was mad, but she figures out that he was not doing it for a money play. So basically, the guy who runs this, like, late night show was also in the army with them, and all he wanted to do was go on his television show and make a call to get all the army men in the area to come there. And what she heard was him saying, like, we could bring cameras, you could film the whole thing, we could do a real, like, sob story about the old man. And Bing was like, no, that's not what we're fucking doing here. I just want this platform to see the guy. And
that's kind of my favorite part of that movie, because the world in this time had plenty of its own problems.
Sure.
Like, of course. But that notion of not profiteering off every little thing is kind of a refreshing notion. I think in modern movies, even with their best intention, honestly don't think that. Like, I think a modern version of this would be like, let's raise money, let's do this, let's up the profile so that even though it's not getting a lot of snow this time of year up here, it can float the general's establishment for a long time.
But Bing Crosby not only doesn't make money on this, he's losing money because he wasn't, like, these people were getting, like, a paid time off. But he actually said when he called their, like, stage manager to set it up, it was like, get everyone you can, we'll pay them double, and you'll also get a bonus. And they were supposed to be, like, preparing to perform at, like, Radio City Music Hall in New York. So they also gave up a gig in the hole for this, but they gave up the gig. Important.
They gave up the gig just in the hopes that Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney will get together. That was, like, Danny Kaye and Vera-Ellen's whole plan.
Well, yeah, Danny Kaye, like, did trick him into that. So he'd already given up the gig. But at that point, he'd only given up the gig. And then he just, like, gave up a bunch of money. I mean, they had it. They've been working for years together, making all this money.
Why do you think Danny Kaye, obviously it seemed like Danny Kaye and Vera-Ellen in trying to get their friends together.
Yeah.
That obviously it seemed like they were good together, but Danny Kaye was very nervous, very resistant to Vera-Ellen's advances towards the end. Why do you think that is? Gay? Gay?
No.
I have a theory. It's not gay, but I'm just throwing that question out.
I don't think that, but I do think that he's still playing the field. Whether or not he's younger than Bing Crosby, he definitely gives little brother vibes in this relationship. And so to him, I think he's still, like, sowing his wild oats, but he wants Bing Crosby to settle down so he can go sow his oats. He's not ready to also get married. That's something that the older guy, responsible guy does. I'm still happy-go-lucky Danny Kaye.
Yeah.
But then he falls in love with her.
I guess.
But also, it's played for comedy. Like, it's not...
That style of comedy, the Danny Kaye, it's also like that Richard Lewis, very physical...
Richard Lewis? Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis. I like Richard Lewis, though.
Yeah, but I don't think...
I'd love to see Richard Lewis's physical comedy. But yeah, Jerry Lewis, like having an awkward, stuttering way of, like, talking through a problem or something like that. I won't say the humor is very timely in terms of modern context. At one point when Danny Kaye is trying to they're hiding what they're setting up for the general, and Danny Kaye's pretending like his leg hurts.
Yeah, it's very over the top.
How does it feel?
It feels pretty good, sir.
Put your weight on it.
My weight. Right here, sir.
Susan, call a doctor.
Oh, please don't do that, sir. It's probably just a small internal muscular hemorrhage, sir.
Maybe if it was 1950, I'd be like, man, that's the height of comedy. I don't know.
Well, I will say...
But there were points where, and I do think this is a good movie, but there's points where I'm looking at Danny Kaye and I'm thinking, like, you're kind of fucking annoying.
To me, the reason it's forgivable is because of the time period. And because, honestly, they were not too far out of, like, vaudeville. You know? Like, it's not that far
I do understand that,
from that whole, like, style. But then you fast forward to something like Naked Gun, and it's kind of the same thing where it's like somebody hits you and you're like, whoa! And, like, then it's kind of forgivable because of the time period. And then when you get to, like, the 80s and you're still doing it, it's like, that's why that bothers me and this doesn't. But this is definitely silly.
It is silly, for sure.
And there's a lot of, like, kind of almost dad jokes.
Sometimes with these older movies, I'm trying to contextualize the little throwaway bits they say. Because, like, in anything, at any time, they're making, like, these loose references to pop culture or occurrences of their day.
Yeah.
And it is kind of fun with older movies to try to, like, analyze, like, what does that mean? Like, is there a reason? Because I didn't watch this one CBS sitcom
Right.
in like 1947 that was only on for 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
Some shit like that. These little turn of phrases that have survived over time were really just some throw off lines that everyone was repeating for like decades. But let's talk about the music, and we'll get into the singing and the dancing.
What was your favorite song?
I actually did like when they were the routine and the song. Look, this music. It's like, you know, Bing Crosby is a crooner. Mm-hmm. Rosemary Clooney, much more of a contemporary singer for that time.
I love her voice.
It's like that classic show tune style, but at that time it seemed like that was also some of the biggest music, the most popular music of that time.
Yeah.
It seems like it's loosely connected with the crooner style, or like just a contemporary jazz vocal of the style, or like a toned down swing or big band music.
Well, and all that works because they're basically doing a variety show.
Sure.
So it all kind of fits in different ways. But what were you going to say? What's your favorite moment or song?
I don't know if I have a favorite song, but I think like the combined, when they're making fun of that contemporary dance style.
It's choreography.
Choreography, is that the Fosse style? Is that what you call it?
They're making fun of Fosse.
The theater. What's happened to the theater? Especially where dancing is concerned.
They're making a pop culture reference that's very fresh
Yeah.
at that time, but is like well over half a century old by the time we're watching it.
Yeah, they're definitely commenting on like a changing of tides, like of the way that people like handled.
And the whole way that was put together, I actually did like that routine.
Interesting.
But I'm imagining that song, Sisters, that the Haynes sisters sing.
Uh-huh. Sisters, there were never such devoted sisters. Never had to have a chaperone, no sir. I'm here to keep my eye on her.
That song sucks, right? Like, it's a shitty song. Like, that's not a song. People might listen to it for nostalgia towards this movie in particular, but no one in their life is ever going to be like, I've got to hear that song, Sister.
Two different faces, but in tight places. We think and we act as one. Uh-huh.
Never want to hear it unless I'm watching this movie. It gets stuck in my head. The word that comes to mind about that song is kitschy.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the word that comes to mind.
Corny.
It's cutesy, it's funny, but even in the movie, by the time they're doing it the second time in Vermont, I'm like, can we do a different song, please?
Yeah.
Like,
and then Bing and Danny do it.
Sisters, there were never such devoted sisters.
Danny looked real comfortable in that scene.
I mean, hey, why not? Maybe.
No judgment.
So the girls do the song, then the boys do it really funny, but then when the girls do it again seriously, that's when it's like, can you please stop?
Yeah. Do you have any other songs? For fuck's sake, do you have any other songs?
Exactly. And then you never hear that one again, so you're good. It's good. But and the only one that they do kind of come back to is the song for the general, which is my second favorite song in this movie. Which is, you know, the I'll follow the old man.
Yeah, we hear that a couple times.
I love that because
kind of more of a march style, yeah.
It actually brings tears to my eyes at the beginning and the end because I know it's going to happen, but also it's a very sweet movie. Mm. And they really love him and it means so much to him. And so there's just, I don't know, but so I love that. My favorite is probably Blessings.
You're worried and you can't sleep. Just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings.
Which is the one that Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney sing to each other when they fall in love. So it's that.
Yeah. That's a sweet scene. That's a good one.
When I was little, I used to imagine that I would sing that song to children one day.
I did really enjoy the routine between Danny Kaye and Vera-Ellen when they're dancing on the outside.
Well,
and they're going across the bridge. Like,
Yeah.
that's very entertaining. And I thought it was really well shot. The cinematography by Loyal Griggs. Like, it's a very well made movie.
It is. And she's a very good dancer. And he is too. And we actually were talking about this before we watched this movie about something else, where it's annoying when now, especially in like modern times, like even if people learn the dance, they want to like go in on these close-ups and they want to do like these swooping shots, and it's like, no, just sit there and let us watch them
Take
dance.
in the movement.
And you got that in this movie, and it was beautiful. And so many movies from that time let you just take it in. It takes the time.
We'll go harder on that criticism during our Hallmark 6-pack, because there was some bad camera work on a dance routine. And,
it was real
and we
bad.
had a conversation, and you would mention you watch some of these dance shows, and you mentioned that it's also a problem on there. Like these camera
dance
works,
competition
like
shows.
why would you keep zooming in? And then when Vera-Ellen and Danny Kaye are doing their dances, the only time their feet get cut off are when they swoop into the camera, and then they go right back.
Yeah, but it's because they're coming towards you.
Exactly.
It's a choice to let you feel like, oh wow, like this is.
Yeah,
they're
almost
in my
like
living room.
like it'd be a 3D effect or
Exactly.
something. But
yeah, the only dance competition show that I watch, and it's not even on anymore, was So You Think You Can Dance. In the last few seasons, they actually did this stupid thing where they made a round stage so that they could spin the camera around you. It made me dizzy. Like, it was not even that you couldn't see their feet. It was also like, you're making me nauseous.
It's like one of those props when TikTokers are like dancing.
Yeah, it's like, why do you need to be like, let it speak for itself?
It's fucking TikTok camera work is what it is.
Oh my God, it is.
Embarrassing.
But also, so this is so difficult. I also really love the Snow song.
Snow.
Snow,
Oh.
snow, snow.
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 Snow, snow. It won't be long before we'll all be there with snow. Snow.
Snow.
I love cocaine. Give me snow.
My favorite line, which is the dumbest line, is, I'll wash my hair with snow.
It's like, if you want, no one's going to stop you. Don't know why you got to keep telling us.
So yeah, but and also transparently, I did watch this movie a ton when I was a kid, and we did watch it last year.
Thank you for being transparent.
You're welcome. We did watch it last year, and so right before we started watching it this time, I kind of didn't want to, because I felt like I'd seen it too soon ago. Like, I thought there needed to be more time, but I love this movie so much that as soon as it started, I was like, I'm good. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm here. I love it.
There's enough here to keep you in.
Yeah.
Even my little quips about, like, I'm pretty broad-minded about music, but, like, this is one of the few styles that don't feel that open to be honest. And I guess, look, I'm not classically like a musical guy or anything like that, but I can appreciate it in the structure and context of where it is, but I don't really pursue it like, I'm not being like, I'm going to need the soundtrack to this Irving Berlin.
Oh, totally.
By the way, White Christmas, this is not the first appearance of White Christmas. Irving Berlin wrote it for Holiday Inn originally.
Which I want on our list for next year. I want to watch that movie because I've never seen it. He was also a Jewish man. Oh, one of the things I think makes that easier to digest is that most of the songs are performances. It's not just, I'm going to sing with you. And even when they're on the train singing the Snow song, they're all singers. And so it's like, let's sing a song together.
Vera-Ellen,
and that could happen in real life. She's not a
She's not. It wasn't her voice in the songs. It was like two different women that were backing up vocals there. Obviously, it was Rosemary Clooney's voice, but Vera-Ellen is more of a pure dancer.
Yeah, that was obvious.
So someone else had to sing those.
And obviously, though, they could have got someone even a little better, because I thought, oh, she's not hitting some of these notes.
Vera-Ellen looked like a little pixie lady. I definitely would prefer the more natural looking beauty of Rosemary Clooney.
And I just love her when she sings that.
And the sagging balls of Bing Crosby.
He's got to be like 15 years older than all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosemary Clooney, I think, was fairly young in this.
I think that you had to hire Bing Crosby and put him on camera for scenes just so at least in those moments he wasn't beating his kids.
Oh, was he one of those?
Well, there was some reputation.
I didn't know that.
That he was hard on his kids.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So now you hate him. You can hate everyone that raised me too, because every once in a while I got it. Let's hate our parents.
Don't hate my parents.
I'm a Bing Crosby too. Get your ass over here and pick a switch.
The other thing is the costumes in this movie are gorgeous. There's so much to look at. It's so like visually stunning. And it's not all Christmas. Because they're doing this variety show, we talked about the choreography song, like there's so much of it it's not specifically Christmas. There's only really like a song about snow, White Christmas. You know, like there's just not that. It's more of a variety. Which I really, really love. Also, there's a really sweet relationship between the general and his granddaughter.
Oh, yeah.
That she's a lovely young girl playing this role. And I also got a little teary-eyed at the end. So they basically trick him so he doesn't know that Bing Crosby has made this plea for all the men to come. So they all show up and it's Christmas Eve and they're doing the big show and they've hidden all of his suits. So he's forced to put on his uniform. And he puts his uniform on and he's walking down the stairs and his little granddaughter, I mean, she's a teenager, but she's standing at the bottom of the stairs and she looks up at him. And it is like she is looking at the most famous movie star she's ever seen in her life. But it's like so sweet and genuine. And it's that, I don't know. It's just, it's like that innocent. Like, listen, sure, he probably did some shit stuff at some point in his life, but she doesn't know it. And he is like a perfect...
Were you trying to process that in your mind? Like
example.
The horror of war he's seen.
Well, he was in war, and I'm sure he's not perfect, but she looks at him as though he's like... When
you're shooting at the Nazis, we'll give you a pass.
Actually, that's true. It was World War II.
That's not the worst war to be in, for sure.
I just mean... It's almost like she looks at him like he's like the ideal version of what a man should be.
Yeah.
And it's so pure, like she just so much love. It's like radiating from this person. I just thought it was really sweet and like a beautiful moment. And even when he comes to the bottom of the stairs and he like takes her arm, she's just like staring at him as they walk.
I also liked it, when we had Rosemary Clooney's Jessica Rabbit moment.
You planned a romance that just hadn't a chance, and I'm through. Love, you didn't do right by
me. When she runs away because she's disgusted by the cynicism
That's my other favorite
she
song.
never talks about, but there's more choreography in this one too.
Yep.
And
it is definitely choreography.
So Bing comes down to the club, figures out where she's at to explain himself and try to convince her to come back. And
he doesn't have anything to explain because he still doesn't know why she's mad.
She does this sultry nightclub number, and it's a nice scene.
You didn't do right by me.
And the movie is so Christmassy by the end that you do appreciate that, like, it had some visual variety leading up to what became pretty much pure mainline Christmas stuff by the time you get to the end of it.
Yeah, at so in the very end, they honor the general and it's very, very sweet. Like they actually did the set to look like the beginning of the movie when they were all in the army. And
it'd be funny if he had like a flashback, like half the soldiers to start freaking the fuck out. They were doing performances among ruins, like things were blowing up around them.
It's true.
The general would be like, "This is great, but I did not need to go back here." Okay.
And it was the 10th anniversary of him retiring. So they'd all been away from each other for 10 years. So they're singing the song again to him, I'll follow the old man wherever he wants to go, which is wonderful. And And then someone comes up and taps him on the shoulder and is like, whispers in his ear. And he goes out to the front of the inn and he opens the doors and there's snow everywhere. And it's snowing and there's snow on the ground. And then they go back inside and they start singing White Christmas. And there's a set that looks like, a house at Christmas time. But then in the middle of it, they open the barn doors at the back of the stage. And then you're just watching like actual snow falling behind them. I mean, maybe not probably actual snow, but snow in the movie. And it's just lovely. It is like overly sweet, but it is that like storybook fairy tale ending of they pulled it off. Rosemary and Bing are back together. Danny Kaye seems to not be frightened of kissing Vera anymore. Is it Vera?
I think he maybe like lost some things in the war.
Oh, is that your theory?
Like maybe,
it wasn't just his arm.
That or he's asexual, maybe. But yeah, it culminates into a nice, sweet Christmas concentrate. But yeah, that's White Christmas, and by Michael Curtiz, with Bing, Danny, Rosemary, and Vera-Ellen. And from 1954, pretty good. We're gonna give it 1 through 5. We're both gonna give it 1 through 5.
Yes.
Mine for best out of 10. I think this movie for me, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. There, some of the situational waffling.
I know.
I mean, maybe it's a little fresher for that time, but it's pretty. It still seems, you just concentrate too hard on it being silly. But 3.5 out of 5 is a very good story because everything else elevated it properly.
I don't even want to say to you that that's what I was thinking as well, because I feel like that has happened too many times. I've been kind of going between like a 3.75 and a 3.5, but I really don't think it's a 3.75 because I don't think it's that close to a 4. I think it's really good.
A 7 is a good score.
The music is really good, but I'm going to also give it a 3.5 because I think a 7 makes sense for this movie.
If they didn't sing Sisters 3 times, it'd probably be like maybe like a 7.5.
And a little less slapstick comedy.
Well, I'm not even holding that against it too hard.
They didn't do the minstrel song.
Oh, well, they didn't do it, Minstrel goes back to Europe, like, what, lighthearted
No, I know, I'm
singing and
just
dancing.
kidding. That was a bad.
But thank goodness they weren't in blackface for that bit.
Yeah.
And thank goodness they weren't talking in that exaggerated voice.
Oh, no, they were not.
So, no complaints there. No complaints there. At least, we gotta take it. There's some moments where it just seems like they know enough to know that it's wrong because you see them choosing not to go certain routes.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yep.
So it's like, it's a poor excuse a lot of time, even when you look back. That said, a 7, the Barbie got a 7, this is a solid score. If you make a 7.
This is better than Barbie.
If you make a 7 movie, if you think it's better than Barbie, then go up 0.25.
I probably should have gone down on Barbie.
And it maybe, I think White Christmas is like a 7.25.
Let's do it. I'm going to give it a 3.75.
So take a peek at it. The 7.25s joining the ranks of The Goonies, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, Deep Red, a recent one we did.
Yeah.
And Ferris Bueller's Day Off. White Christmas joins the rankings of that. I could see we might be lower than a lot of people on it, but not by much. That said, there's a lot more holiday goodness to go. Come back every Monday for the heavy hitter Christmas classics as we break them down bit by bit. I've got more and more interesting takes on these oldies. But yeah, and plenty of in-movie drops every week.
In theater drops, yes. Our Thanksgiving episode, the Eli Roth Thanksgiving, our most popular at the movies episode yet. Nice. It's fun. Yeah, I think that movie was pleasantly surprising. But, I loved it. Like, subscribe, click on the links in our show notes, leave a comment. We appreciate you. Death to all traitors.